Okay, we are going to do a composition of functions problem. We're starting out with two functions, f and g, and we can combine them, one being first and one being second. So this is like the bookcase video that I just did, where you have an input, that input gets processed by a function, that function's output becomes the input to the next process or function. So that's what we're doing here. We're going to start with this top blue one. Our input is first going into G. So we're going to just copy the F for now, and we're going to figure out what G of -1 is. So we're going to do G. We've got this negative from the negative on G, and then we're going to put the -1 in where we see the X. And simplify that. Because -1 times -1 is +1, we just end up with -1 there. And then we put that -1 in F now. So 5 times -1 plus 2. And we get -5 plus 2 is -3. If we do it the other way, the -1 goes into F first. So we're going to write this G down here, and we're going to put -1 in F. So 5 times -1 plus 2 equals G of -3. G of -3 is -3 times -3, which is -9. So you can see we get different answers. They can be the same if the functions are special functions called inverse functions that we'll be looking at later. But usually they're not going to be the same if you do the functions in different order. So in terms of our previous example in real life, maybe this would be, in one case you would sand the wood and then connect them all together, both screws or some kind of fastener, versus connecting them all together and then sanding. So you can do them in any order. Sometimes it makes sense to do them in any order, and sometimes it does not. Depends on the application. So let's do a general form now. We've got f of g of x, and we're going to do f of, that means we're doing f of -x squared, because that's what g of f is. So we're going to copy f down, and whenever we hit an input to f, we're going to put g. So that means -5x squared plus 2 is our answer. Let's do it the other way now. G of f of x, that's going to be g of 5x plus 2. So we're going to take g and we're going to copy it down until we get to g's input, and instead of x we're going to put our new input like that. And that's actually our answer. We could multiply this all out, but I don't think that improves anything. So we're going to leave it like that. I do want to go over one thing that people have trouble with, and that is this. If we have like a 5 minus x squared versus a 5 plus -x squared. In this case, the squared applies to the x, the negative sign, I'm sorry. So this is 5 plus -x times -x, which is 5 plus x squared, because a negative times a negative is positive. This one is still 5 minus x squared. The squared here does not apply to this negative sign. The squared here does apply to this negative sign. So those two things are different. That's often a little sticking point that students have. All that's it. Thanks.